Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The Henry County Board of Elections and Registration monthly meeting for Wednesday, May the 7th is now called to order. We're going to have our invocation, and then we will have our pledge. Ms. Donna is going to leave us with the invocation.
Let us stand. Let us pray. Father God, thank you for another day of life, health, and strength. We give you praise tonight and honor and glory. Thank you for giving us this special time to come together to commit the business of our county. Give us the mind of Christ to do your will and to do it to our best of our strength, to honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Board members, you have the agenda in front of you. Would you take an opportunity to review the agenda and let me know if there's any modifications that you would like to make?
Chair, I would like to make a motion to accept the agenda as is.
I second that.
It has been first and seconded that the agenda be accepted as presented. All those in favor, say aye. So we unanimously accepted the agenda. The first item under section number 5. We need to look at the minutes from the meeting on April the 2nd. Please take a moment and review the minutes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that the minutes be accepted as presented.
Second.
It has been first and seconded that the minutes for May 2nd be accepted as presented. All those in favor, say aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. We were going to move on to item number 6, which is the director's report. Assistant Director Phillips, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Good evening, Vice Chair, members of the board, members of the public. Thank you for being here today. The Henry County registered voters from March 20th to April 21st. The number of active voters, we have 181,367. We have 23,658 inactive voters for a total of 205,025. Canceled voters from March 20th to April 21st. We have 163 felons, 108 deceased, 1 moved out of state, 5 voter requested to be removed from the voter list, and 12 duplicates for a total of 289. Moving on to the department update, we have a new position in our office, which is a voter education outreach specialist. We've had over 50 applicants for this position alone. We will start interviewing tomorrow. So this position actually closed 2 days ago. So I'm very excited about that. Over 50 applicants, so we're completely excited about that position. So the purpose of this position is to educate, inform, and empower all of Henry County residents on voter registration and election-related subjects, including equipment demonstrations and filling out of registration and absentee ballot applications. So my goal for this position is to send this person out into the schools, conduct voter education or voter registration applications and gosh, what am I trying to think of the word?
monitor.
Yes, there you go. And equipment demonstrations, so we're, like I said, completely excited. The other vacancies we have are election day workers. We're always looking for poll workers. Right now for the Public Service Commission, we are 80% staffed for election day. As far as early voting is concerned, we are still looking for, no, we're 100% on early voting and 80% on election day. All right, so moving down to the detailed budget review, that is in your packet.
Board members, do either of you have any questions regarding the budget? Assistant Director Phillips, my
Yes, sir.
question is pretty much in line with last month as well. I noticed that there are several categories where the percentages are low, and we are actually coming close to the end of the fiscal year. Are we still just waiting for outstanding invoices to catch up? Or because of the election prep that we're doing for the Public Service Commission, we expect after those expenses to be added, that they're gonna be more in line with what the category should be?
I think so. Angela, do you want to speak to this?
So what I will say is, so yes, I don't know the total expenses that we have outstanding, but we are at a point where pretty much we will not be able to, we've missed that cutoff for additional purchases. So there is a cutoff, to where you can make any additional purchases that will hit this budget year. So, I know we're kinda at that point where we can't do much, spend, too much more spending. So probably what you see for the most part is what it's going to be. I know there were a couple of orders that were outstanding, but I don't know that they are of a material amount. So.
Okay. So, along those same lines, I know that there is, which is not many, but there are a couple of categories where we are over
Mhm.
109, 118. But again, these are very small numbers.
Mhm.
Because we are well under in other categories, are we able to move funds from the categories where we're under to take care of these overages?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions, board members?
Chair, this is Omega Finney, and I wanted to echo the questions that you asked about the categories that we went over, and I appreciate you asking that question. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no additional questions, we're gonna move on to old business. And the first item is is bylaws. Prior to this meeting, the board met in a working session, and we went over our existing bylaws. We did make some modifications that we're going to consider. And the process that we're going to use is that we're going to update the existing bylaws, and then we're going to make those available with the scheduled meeting that's going to take place in June, where they're going to be voted on, so that the public and everyone will be able to see what's in our bylaws, and they will see what the changes are. But those will be discussed in detail at our June meeting when we actually will cast a vote. Doing that now and presenting that to the public when there is no actual proposal is not the best use of the time. That's the reason why we elected to use that particular process. Board members, would you like to make any comments to that?
Chair, other than, I think it's really important that we have the bylaws, available for the public to see and know what we're working on, what it is currently, and what we're changing. And I appreciate you sharing that with the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to item B, which is polling locations consolidation. Assistant Director Phillips.
Okay, so this is the proposed precinct boundary changes that we have proposed for Henry County. Currently, we have 37 precincts, and we are looking to combine some of those precincts, 4 of those actually, down to a total of 34. I'm not going to go in great depth on this tonight. This is still a work in progress. We are still working with the polling places that we are hoping to move into. So we're coordinating with them. So before I give too much detail on that, I would hold off on all of that, but give you a brief overview of our initial plan. So we are proposing a precinct consolidation plan in the upcoming weeks that is designed to merge precincts with adjacent ones that have suitable polling places. And right now, that is what we're running into. We have found that 4 of our current precincts have polling places that are either unsuitable or there's been a real estate transaction where the new owners have asked us, that basically they don't want us in there. So we're looking for other places. So consolidating certain sites will provide more suitable and convenient facilities to meet the needs of the voters and hopefully enhance the voter experience. Other reasons for the consolidation include loss of polling locations, as I just mentioned. So the 4 polling locations that I'm referring to are Flippin, Lowe's, McDonough Central, and Wesley Lakes. So currently Lowe's is our largest precinct, which houses about 12,000 voters. So we are looking, and like I said, this is future, but we are looking to take the precinct Lowe's and divide it into 3 and merge it into adjacent precincts. So while we're on the topic of precincts and polling places, I want to make sure that the public fully understands what is the difference between a precinct and a polling place. And I also, before I move forward, I want to let you know that this is something that we as an office cannot just redraw our precinct lines. That is done at the reapportionment office in Atlanta. Our staff goes and sits down with that office, and they are able to look at Henry County on a map, and they are able to draw those lines which are suitable for voters, and they follow natural boundaries, and they are suitable for our office as well because it eliminates numerous districts and numerous ballot styles. So we're hoping to accomplish a lot when redrawing this. This is why it's so important, and it's nothing that's done here and solely in our office. So I want to be very clear about that. So first of all, going back to what is a precinct? So a precinct is this imaginary line you see here. All of these are precinct lines, and they can be moved. But they, like I said, they have to be moved with the guidance of the reapportionment office. Inside of this precinct boundary houses voters. So there are different amounts of voters within each precinct, and as I mentioned before, Lowe's is our largest, which currently holds 12,000 voters. A polling place is the building. It is the actual building where voters go to go vote. So a lot of people confuse these two, and they use these terms interchangeably, but I want to be very clear when speaking of those that they are different and mean different terms. So I think that's basically all I wanted to speak on with the polling place consolidation.
Okay. So, Director Phillips, Assistant Director Phillips, just so that I'm clear, is there a need or ask for the board to make any vote tonight?
Not
on
at
that?
this time,
Okay,
not on the
excellent.
consolidation.
Okay, excellent. So we'll go ahead and advance to the next item on the agenda, which is the advanced voting location schedule.
Yes. And before I get to the voting schedule, I want to talk a little bit about early advance voting, specifically coming up with the Public Service Commission race in June. So early advance voting is a period of advance voting for 3 weeks. We know that takes place 3 weeks before the actual election day. It shall be a period that shall commence on the 4th Monday, which ends up putting you 3 weeks before. By Code 21-2385D1, it shall be conducted on a second and a third Saturday. Also, Sunday is optional, so that's where the board comes in to make that decision if Henry County will be voting on a Sunday. And by the way, those dates have been determined, but I'm going to mention a location change in just a few minutes. So, early advance voting. Henry County provides a total of 6 advance voting sites. We also have 3 locations for a ballot drop box, and that's also a change that I want to publicly mention. And also, any eligible elector may request an absentee ballot to be voted upon in person before Election Day. And while we're on the topic of consolidation and speaking to that, I also want to make it clear that Henry County, based off the trend of voting for Henry County, the early voting turnout is great. There's a 60% turnout for the November 2024 election. I think we were number 6 out of 159 counties in the state. So there was a very large turnout. So that's why I feel confident if we do go ahead and move forward with a consolidation. I feel confident that we will be okay with the 34 election day polling places. Also, what else did I want to talk about with that? Let me move forward here. All right, so absentee voting by mail. We all know that 22 days prior, any elector can request an absentee by mail ballot. And I do want to make note that with the Public Service Commission race, since it is a special primary, that each elector who wishes to vote absentee by mail will need to fill out a new absentee ballot application for that election. If they were previously a disabled, elderly, or UACAVA ballot, that does not apply. You know, normally when an elector selects that status is good for the election cycle. With a special primary, that's different. Special elections require the elector to fill out a new absentee ballot application. So I want to be very clear on that. All right, so I know the board voted on the advanced voting location, dates, and times in the previous meeting, but I want to make note there has been a change in one of the locations. So if you see the red arrow here, that means we are now voting at this main office. So Elections and Voter Registration Office at 1550 South Zach Hinton Parkway will now be an early voting site. I know previously it's been mentioned that this could not be a site, and I want to make it clear that we are giving this a test run. We understand that this is going to be a small election, low turnout, And we feel very confident that this office will be able to handle the early voting here. So this information will go on our website tomorrow. All right, so I also talked about Dropbox locations, and there's been a change in one of those locations as well. So we always have a Dropbox here. That will be in our main office. The second location is going to be Locust Grove Library. We realized that we did not have a ballot drop box on that side of town. So we had numerous voters reach out requesting that one of the drop boxes be moved closer to that area. So Locust Grove Library will now have a ballot drop box, and of course Merle Manders Conference Center. Keep in mind the ballot drop boxes have the same hours as advance voting. So once advance voting closes, these drop boxes close. So can't drop those off on the weekend before the election. So I want to make that very clear.
Assistant Director Phillips.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Chair, Vice Chair. Are these under a camera? Are they under surveillance?
I don't believe these are under camera. In 2020, they had to be. It was mandated, but that is no longer in effect. But because they're inside the building now. In 2020, they were located outside, and that's when it required the additional surveillance. But now they're all located within the building.
But they do have to be manned during the hours.
Yes,
by
ma'am.
a
Yes,
specific
ma'am.
person.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So board members, we need to take a vote on the revised schedule that's presented to you. Each of you have had an opportunity to look at it. Therefore, if it pleases the board, I will take a motion at this time.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the early voting schedule and locations for the June 17, 2025 special primary public service commissioner election.
I'd like to second that motion.
It has been first and seconded that we accept the locations for the June 17th special public service commissioner race. And we would normally talk about discussion. There's only 3 of us, right? And if one made the motion, the other one seconded, and I'm going to vote for it, we don't need to go through that practicality. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, ayes have it.
Chair, can I say something before we move on?
Sure.
I wanted to thank Assistant Director Phillips for providing education to the public. Because I can say I was guilty of confusing a polling location with a precinct until I joined the board. Also appreciate you giving the clarification and better understanding of why the elections office will be an early voting location this time. We don't expect a big turnout for this special primary, and it's also, like Assistant Director Phillips said, this will be a trial run. It could end up being a place in the future. However, I want everyone to be aware that we are still concerned about the parking here. If everyone remembers when we were at 40 Atlanta Street, we had to have officers out to help direct traffic. So we are still concerned about parking here. However, this is a smaller election. So hopefully it's gonna work out. I believe it will. But thinking about in the future for a bigger election, anyone that lives over here knows that 155 is very busy.
Yes.
And that would be, just add additional traffic if we had, maybe next year in midterms had an election here. So we'll see what happens, and thank you again.
Thank you. All right.
Director Phillips, you're finished, correct?
I have one more.
Okay.
All right, so this is polling location updates for the June 17th Public Service Commission. Not to be confused with a consolidation of the precincts that I just spoke about. This is for this election only. So we've got 4 precincts that we have to find polling places for. As I said earlier, we have some that real estate transactions, different reasons why we can't use those polling sites. So we ran into this same situation for the June election as well. So for the precinct flipping, whereas you used to vote at Flippin United Methodist Church, you will now be voting at Henry Baptist Church for the June Public Service Commission race and potentially the July runoff, if there is a runoff, which it appears there may be since there are 4 candidates on the Democratic ballot. So that's a big what if. All right, Mount Carmel precinct. You will be voting at the new Mount Carmel Recreation Center. And it's very nice, by the way. I went to visit, so it's super nice. Dutchtown, you will also be voting there at the Mount Carmel Recreation Center. So when you enter the building, Mount Carmel will be on one side, and then Dutchtown will be on the other. So there will be 2 separate lines. There will be signage there so the voters will know, and we will also have line monitors who will be directing the voters. Precinct Lowe's, you will be voting at Luella Middle School. So those are our 4 precincts that are changing polling place locations for the June election and the potential July election. This is the notice that went into the legal organ, into the Henry Herald 2 weeks ago. So that has been placed there, and it's also on our website and also in our lobby. All right, so you may be asking, how's everyone supposed to know? How are these voters going to be notified? So they're all receiving a new precinct card. There's going to be signage at the new polling place and the old polling place. So if they show up at their old polling place and no cars are there, there's going to be signs notifying them to go to the new polling place. It's been placed in the legal organ in the Henry Herald. And it's also listed on our website and social media and in our office in the lobby. So hopefully we'll get all of that out. And also I just wanted to mention the Spring Fling that's coming up in Henry County. Our office is going to be there Friday, May 9th, 10 to 2. So if you come out there, you'll see all of us out there. And that's it.
I would just like to say that we really ask the public to bear with us with those changes. We know that there are some inconvenience. These are situations that unfortunately are unforeseen, and we're trying to react and act in the most appropriate way to ensure that our voters have the ability to go and vote. I highly encourage you, again, I highly encourage you to take advantage of early voting. That way, on election day, we would have less traffic with the 4 locations where we're having to move, and things will work and flow just much, much better. So we appreciate the citizens that's going to take advantage of early voting for the Public Service Commissioner's race and help us out and go and vote early. Thank you. That's my public service announcement. So at this time, we're at the end of our agenda. Do we have any public comments? Do we have anyone to sign up?
The new business.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I do apologize. Thank you, Board Member Crumley. We're actually gonna move on to new business. The first item up for new business is we asked our county attorney to provide an update on the legislation that was passed in the 2025 General Assembly session. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties with connectivity, our attorney is not able to join the meeting. So therefore, I will ask for the board, a board member to make a motion that we table this until the June meeting.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to table item under section 8, new business. A, update of bills passed during the 2025 General Assembly that impacts elections, county attorney, and table that until the June meeting.
I second that motion to table the agenda meeting item.
So it has been first and seconded that we table the updated past legislation during the June 2025 General Assembly that impact elections. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda was actually the polling location updates.
Went out of order.
And that's the reason why I thought that we were at the end of our agenda, but that's quite all right. So now we are actually at public comments. Could we share if we have anyone sign up? Okay. We have Ms. Martina Young Frazier that's going to come forth and just have a couple of items to read for you. When giving public comments from the public and employees must refrain from any comments that's against the board, calling anyone out, particularly Board of Commissioners and such. You're also limited to 3 minutes. We ask you to present your information in a professional demeanor and do not use threatening language or profanity, vulgar, or any aggressive manner. Please also understand that the board will not respond to any public comments that are made tonight. We are definitely listening, but we're making note of those, and we will take action if needed at the appropriate time. Ms. Frazier, I turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Vice Chair, and thank you so much to the commissioners, and thank you to everyone that's here today and the public. So yes, my name is Montina Young Frazier, and even though I look like a threat today, y'all, I had physical therapy because, unfortunately I have fractures and tendonitis on my feet. So some of the things that I wanted to address are related to our voter drives. I am registered as a poll worker, so thank you for that opportunity. I would like to see more information shared so that we can maybe share that with the public. And also just to note that there were no updates to the meeting schedule online. This meeting was not shown as a quarterly meeting. And I did hear Donna Crumley that mentioned it yesterday, so that's how I was able to come to the meeting today. Okay. Oh, and something else, and again, these are from my notes. I know that we had 60% early turnout for the presidential election, but it'd be helpful to know what was the early voting turnout for non-presidential election years, because that's where we seem to have the challenge to get our community engaged in voting. With 20,000 registered voters in McDonough, we only had 2,000 show up to the polls. We had our amazing, wonderful mayor whom I just adore, but she's elected with 1,339 votes. So our people are getting registered possibly, but they're not coming out to vote. So what can we do to change that? So here, again, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do want to commend the work that's being done around voter registration. It's critical. But I also want to encourage us to look beyond registration and ask what happens next. How do we move from registering voters to empowering engaged, informed, connected citizens? We need to help our community understand that local elections are often the most impactful. They determine who makes decisions about our public safety, roads, water, how our tax dollars are spent. And they're not just elections, they are everyday life decisions. And so I'd like to see us create more ongoing civic education opportunities, forums, workshops, community conversations where people can learn more about our community and city and local government. Some of the things we can partner with the schools, but I find often, again, we're registering the younger people, but the people here in our community are not showing up to vote. Those from our churches. I've actually started reaching out to churches, neighborhoods, apartment complexes myself to just say, hey, we need more informed, engaged community. Also encouraging some of our officials here to do things with public spaces. But again, creating simple, nonpartisan guides to help people understand what's on the ballot and why it matters. Because again, we know when people voice their matters, they show up. Not just to vote, but to serve, speak up, and stay involved. One of the reasons I'm a poll worker is because a few years ago, my ballot wasn't accepted, and I voiced my opinion to the poll worker there, and I was overlooked. Filed a complaint, and later learned this was something happening in McDonough. I am a member of the League of Women Voters, which is a nonpartisan grassroots organization.
Ms. Frazier?
My time's up.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all so much for giving me an opportunity. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Frazier, for your comments. At this time, we'll move on to item number 10 on the agenda, which is board members' comments.
Yes, Chair, I wanted to share with the public that I hope you saw in the news that voter list maintenance is ongoing during this time of the year. And I wanna just let everyone know, please check your voter registration. Check your voter registration, check your voter registration. I wanna commend this office and Assistant Director Phillips for reporting those numbers every month, every time we meet, to know that voter list maintenance does happen on an ongoing basis, whether it's someone has passed away or whether someone requested. However, this is something that we are required to do by law, so just please check your voter registration. You can go onto the Secretary of State's website and you can check there. And if you have any issues, please, please, please register to vote. Thank you.
Ms. Crumley?
I have no comments.
I would just like to say, you know, the thing is that the Public Service Commissioner race is coming up. We all know about it. It is a very important race that we perhaps don't know a lot about what they do. I encourage the electorate to go to the Public Service Commission website, learn what they do, go out and cast your vote, make your vote and your voice count for this election. And because we're gonna have some changes with this election, I think it's absolutely critical that we ensure that today's meeting actually be placed on social media and YouTube. Thank you guys for attending today.
And Chair, I do want to echo having the meeting available on YouTube. Henry County already has a YouTube channel where you can find the Board of Commissioners meetings, little vignettes and videos about the staff and things like that. So if we could please get that onto the YouTube, more people have access to YouTube than they do Facebook. Thank you.
Were you gonna say something? Were you gonna say anything? No. So the next item on the agenda is executive session. We're not going into executive session tonight, so we're down to announcements. The board will have a working session at 5 p.m. on June the 4th. Immediately following that meeting at 6 o'clock, we will have our regular scheduled meeting. That meeting is going to take place here at 1550 South Zach Hinton Parkway in McDonough, Georgia.
And Vice Chair.
Yes.
If I can say one thing about the meeting in June, so of course we're gonna be having early voting taking place in this room. So the plan is to move into the conference room and have the public in the viewing area.
Okay? So again, we're gonna have the meeting, it's gonna be here, you're gonna see a lot of cars, but just understand that many of those individuals may be here to cast their early vote. We will be meeting, but we're gonna be meeting in what was originally called the boardroom, and then we have a room for the public to also sit and observe. So if you're here to vote, and it just so happens to be that time, I encourage you to stay and actually observe the board meeting.
Chair, I did want to ask a question because we did have a working session today and we had a meeting in the evening today. Do we need to have the working session in June? And I know we don't have a full board today, but I do want us to think about whether we need to do that or not.
I think that you bring up some very valid points. My thoughts is that as of right now, we're still very early on in the month. I think that we need to leave it, and if we need to cancel, it's okay for us to cancel a meeting, we just have to make it known to the public. So I don't think that we should vote to change it at this point.
That's fair, thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
So if there are no other comments, I'll take a motion from the board.
Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting
I'll second the motion.
at 6:43.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it has been first and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned at 6:43. Thank you.